Okay, I'd like to call the meeting to order, please. The committee will convene an executive session pursuant to Rhode Island General Laws 42-46, 4, and 5 for the purpose of 1, a session pertaining to potential litigation concerning bus transportation and legal advice regarding same pursuant to Rhode Island General Laws 42-46, 5. A2. Second, to consider and vote on the motion to adjourn and convene in public session. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Is there a second?
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? We're now in executive session. Now we will go to the second link.
Okay.
I have Tony on the phone here.
Karen, I sent you an email with the link in case you didn't get it.
Thank you.
Yep. Okay.
Oh, Joel can't get in, Ben. You're not letting Joel in. Ben?
I have not received any notice that he's tried to join. I want to double check that he's trying to go back to not trying to go back to the executive session by chance.
Okay. He can't get in, it says. Ben, why don't you send him the link again?
Yep, I'm sending it right now.
All right. Maybe you should send it to Tony Forever again too.
I did, yep.
Okay. see Joel.
I'm just resending the information to everyone just in case. I'm on the phone with Tony. It'll just be another minute.
Okay. Yeah, I still don't see Joel.
I see Joel.
got on.
Oh, I see Joel. Yeah.
Joel's here and Tony's dialing in now.
But
And we are live on the stream.
Laptop wasn't working this time. Which is weird.
Excuse me.
I've always used my laptop, and this time it wouldn't let me in.
Oh, Charlie, you're on mute. I think you're trying to speak there.
Can you unmute Charlie?
And it appears Tony, it looks like he's dialed in. I haven't heard him speak though. If you're
Yeah,
I can hear
you, Ben.
Great, we can hear you clear.
All right, Charlie is still muted.
Am I muted?
Oh, now you're talking.
Okay. I'd like to call the meeting, the open session to order, please. I have the flag and I've asked that we pledge allegiance to the flag and a moment of silence, please. I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America,
and to the republic
under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. There were no votes taken in the executive session, and I will entertain a motion to seal executive session minutes pursuant to the applicable provisions of Rhode Island General Law 42-46, 4 and 5. May I have a motion, please?
So moved.
Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Motion made and seconded. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The first item is the consent agenda, communications, correspondence, homeschool requests, approval of minutes, the 21 April school committee meeting, the 4 May specials school committee meeting, and the 20 April building committee meeting. Go ahead, Kathy.
Mr. Jonas, I want to call your attention to something under correspondence, and that's the award that Crystal Montero received.
Yes.
She was announced that she was going to be the class of 2020 Digital Innovations. She's one of 20 people across the country that have been nominated for the position, and we'd like to congratulate Crystal on this award.
Well deserved.
Yes,
Congratulations,
it is.
Crystal. I have, since it is correspondence, I just received it today. Dear school committee members, David A. Patasi, I'll make sure everybody gets a copy of this. President, East Providence High School Class of '59. They enjoyed their 60th reunion last year. They are proud townies, and they are requesting, to paraphrase, a visit to the high school building. Again, this is class of '59. I had a telephone discussion with Mr. Patasi. He lives in Seekonk, and he is open to suggestions from the committee and guidance. He has no idea when the demolition is planned, but he's giving us his name, address, telephone number, and email. And just to let the rest of the committee know that I understand other classes have been in the building before the virus hit us, but I want to make the committee aware of that, and hopefully we won't have any problem, or at some point in time, I don't know if we can foresee when, to allow a class to go into the building.
Yeah.
But I want to make the committee know about that, and the superintendent.
Thank you, Charlie. If you send me a copy of that, I'll make sure I'll put it on memos, so when we can open the building, but we're gonna be very restricted for a period of time.
Right, I understand.
Okay, perfect.
Thank you. Any other discussion on the consent agenda? What is the committee's pleasure?
Move to approve.
Is there a second to that?
I'll second that.
Sorry.
Motion made and seconded. All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. The consent agenda is approved. The next item is the superintendent's report.
Yes, and the first item on my report is the presentation of the 2020 Teachers of the Year from the District of East Providence. While I read the names, Sandy is going to be posting the pictures of those teachers and their certificates, because we couldn't give it live. So as soon as I see that posted, East Providence School Department Teacher of the Year. The first Teacher of the Year is from East Providence High School, and that is John Sandy Gorham. He has been affecting and influencing young men and young women for nearly a half a century at East Providence High School. Despite this incredible resume, Mr. Gorham is humble, soft-spoken teacher of physical education and health. Sandy has always been a great communicator. He knows the best ways to interact with students, parents, faculty, and co-workers. He is skilled at listening and respects the opinion and ideas of others. Sandy is a selfless, hardworking individual who always puts his students and Townie Nation first. He always has his students' best interest at heart and will stop at nothing until the needs of his students are met. I would say Sandy is the type of guy who would give you the shirt off his back. Even though he has so much going on, he would drop everything to help one of his students. The consensus is unanimous. John Sandy Gorham is sensitive to the needs of students, athletes, and every member of the East Providence High School community. We are indeed fortunate to be able to refer to Mr. Gorham as teacher, coach, colleague, and friend. We are also pleased to add one more honor to Mr. Gorham's long list of accomplishments. John Sandy Gorham is East Providence Senior High School's Teacher of the Year for 2020. Congratulations, Sandy.
Congrats, Mr. Long.
Congratulations.
Next is the Career and Technical Center candidate, and that is Tom Galligan. Tom has been an integral part of the Career and Technical Center, teaching construction for over 20 years. Tom is active with the local building trades, which helps guide his daily instruction. Tom provides students with the knowledge that the construction industry is looking for, making students marketable for apprenticeships and potential careers. Tom is also active in the community, regularly bringing students on job sites to complete construction projects, such as sheds for local members. Tom's positive relationships and hands-on teaching experiences with his students and his connection to the community make him a great nominee for Teacher of the Year. Tom Galligan. Congratulations, Tom.
Congrats.
Congratulations.
Next is Martin Middle School. Teacher of the Year, Pam Thacker. According to her peers, Pam has taught at Martin Middle School for 20 years. Pam is the department coordinator for science. Pam has taken on huge initiatives this year, such as Rise Against Hunger. Pam coordinated this effort for students, staff, and families to come together to raise thousands of dollars for the hungry. This act of kindness culminated with a night at Martin with over 80 volunteers who packaged over 10,000 meals that were shipped to the less fortunate. Pam saw this event all the way through from beginning to end and was able to get many members of the Martin family to help. Pam has gone above and beyond to improve culture and climate at Martin this year. She has been a leader on the school climate grant team that works with RIDE and other districts in the state to bring back strong practices to Martin Middle School. Last but not least, Pam has changed her practices to bring more student voice to Martin Middle School. She has taken the lead at faculty meetings and been someone the school community counts on. Congratulations, Pam. Next is Riverside Middle School, John Maycomber. John Maycomber is a teacher of English language arts at Riverside Middle School. He is a dedicated educator for over 30 years, having begun his tenure at Riverside Middle School as a special education teacher. Despite his veteran status, John has not let up on his quest to engage students and to utilize an effective blend of contemporary and traditional teaching methods. For several years, he has been among the first faculty members in the building in the morning and the last to leave in the evening. Despite the considerable rigor that he brings to all of his classes, John's students respect and admire him. This is because he is fair and compassionate, and the students see that first when regarding him. John is that rare teacher who is considered the toughest, but also among the most endeared by his students. For years, John was the advisor of the Viking Press, the middle school newspaper that won countless awards for Riverside Middle School. In recent years, John has helped students publish a literary magazine, and he has done more to help improve the writing skills at Riverside Middle School students than any other in the school community. At the conclusion of this school year, John Maycomber will retire. He will leave behind a legacy of excellence and commitment to his students, and he will be missed dearly. Riverside's nominee is John Maycomber as the Teacher of the Year for 2020. Congratulations, John.
Congratulations.
Next is Myron Francis Elementary School, Paula Chase. The faculty of Myron J. Francis is a group of dedicated professionals. They work hard, collaborate daily, and always put their students first. This year, more than ever, it was difficult to choose just one to represent our school. However, one very special teacher rose to the top. Since 1988, this teacher has devoted her career to the children of East Providence. A townie herself, she epitomizes townie pride, a phrase coined in 1984 by Superintendent Myron J. Francis to represent a sense of community and coming together to work for a common good. Here are some quotes from her colleagues. Paula is a great collaborator and team player at Myron J. Francis. She is involved in many committees and takes initiatives in recognizing student success. She has been extremely supportive over the years with my MLL students and has provided me with tremendous support. She is a leader and a true friend to students and faculty alike. Paula is always willing to help and do tasks other than her job description. The students' well-being and achievement are her driving force. Paula works tirelessly to teach reading skills to her students. She also cares for the well-being of her students and families by providing them with social, emotional support, calling home to check in, to solve problems, and to communicate positive reports to the parents. Paula works with students and families and is truly a lifelong endeavor. She goes above and beyond to help students reach their potential and even maintains connections with students after they leave Myron J. Francis. Congratulations to Paula Chase, Myron J. Francis's 2020 Teacher of the Year. Congratulations.
Congratulations.
Next, Carla Midgley. As many of you know, Carla Midgley was a special education teacher at Hennessy Elementary School, and Carla passed away recently. On behalf of the entire school community at Hennessy Elementary, we proudly honor the memory of our beloved colleague, Carla Midgley, as the 2020 Hennessy Teacher of the Year. We fondly remember Carla as dedicated, collaborative, growth-oriented, talented, caring, and knowledgeable. The heartfelt words and tributes have sincerely poured in from teachers, students, and families alike. Carla always exuded humility, kindness, humanity, and respect in all aspects of her teaching. Carla contributed an unwavering commitment to the children and families we serve. She is a fierce advocate for her students. She had a unique ability to make them all feel safe and loved while establishing a learning environment with clear and consistent expectations optimal for growth. Carla was a caring member of the Hennessy staff and an active member of the community. Carla treated all her colleagues with care and respect while supporting ideas and dialogue. She proudly served as our PTO president and organizer of our Feinstein Efforts and Pennies for Patients fundraiser. She continued her passion for children even outside of the school day, tutoring students with special needs and volunteering with other charitable organizations in the community. The Hennessy school community is stronger and more inclusive because Carla Midgley was part of it. And we will extend our congratulations to Carla Midgley's family. She'll be dearly missed by the East Providence school community.
Congratulations.
Yes.
Congratulations, Paula.
Next, Kent Heights Elementary School. Teacher of the Year is Donna Ferrucci, who also now serves as the Dean of Kent Heights. Mrs. Ferrucci is a veteran educator who has taught at Kent Heights School for 25 years. A colleague stated on the nomination form, in her new position, Donna has proven how dynamic of a teacher she really is. She teaches students to be kind, hardworking, and safe. In fact, years ago, Mrs. Ferrucci suggested the above core values and a previous faculty and staff adopted Kent Heights School in conjunction with the PBIS program. Donna is a role model for students and adults. She has provided an updated faculty room where teachers can have a place to relax. She requested and received a donation from Cotty's Furniture. Mrs. Ferrucci writes a Dean's Daily each morning, which provides humor, motivation, and valuable information. Mrs. Ferrucci also created a Bus Buddies program at Kent Heights School that was so quickly successful, the program is now a Best Buddies chapter, promoting inclusion and diversity at Kent Heights School. She is the producer of the entertaining videos created during distance learning that positively builds the Kent Heights School community and strengthens our bond. She helps us to strive to be the best version of ourselves. And I will say her videos are very funny. Congratulations, Donna. Next, Martin Middle School's pre-K, Sarah Nostrada. On behalf of the pre-K staff and school community, it is my pleasure to nominate Ms. Sarah Nostrada for the 2020 Teacher of the Year. Sarah has been teaching in the East Providence School District for the past 4 years. Currently, she is a teacher in the state pre-K program at Martin Middle School. She began her career in the West Bay as a pre-K teacher. After the closing of that classroom, she took a job as a kindergarten teacher for a year in Providence. Pre-K being her passion, she found her way to East Providence just in time to assist in the opening of our very own program. During her 4-year tenure in the district, she has been a leader in a very strong team of teachers who have together developed the pre-K program into a successful state Bright Star certified facility. Congratulations, Sarah. Next is Oldham's Teacher of the Year, Melissa Natush. It is with great honor that the Oldham School nominates Melissa Natush as our 2020 Teacher of the Year. Melissa is an itinerant integrated classroom teacher in the pre-K program. She supports instruction of the pre-K classroom teachers while serving the individual needs of pre-K children who are differently abled and their buddies. Mrs. Natush is kind and genuinely cares for all children. She's extremely supportive of her colleagues and is an amazing learning partner to the parents of her students. As an active member of the Oldham School Improvement and Coordination of Care teams, Melissa is a true leader in our school's learning community. Congratulations, Melissa.
Congratulations.
Next is Orlo Avenue, Jen Ruthven. Mrs. Ruthven was nominated by her colleagues and her parents. Jen is described by families as being awesome, going beyond the ordinary, and she puts everyone above herself. Jen has a natural way of connecting with students and families. Her gentle but strong presence allows for a classroom structure that promotes a safe, nurturing learning space. Jen truly cares about her students as her own, going beyond academics to ensure her students' success and happiness. Congratulations, Jen.
Congratulations.
Next nope, we're a little ahead of ourselves here. Okay, the next one is White. Wait a minute, yes. The next Teacher of the Year is Silver Springs Elementary teacher, Michaela Markham. Michaela Markham, physical education teacher at Silver Spring Elementary School, goes above and beyond making our school a better place. She has a wonderful personality, which is reflected in the way she interacts with students and staff. Michaela is approachable and a good listener who is positive, kind, patient, helpful, and flexible each and every day. She uses her extra physical education period to reward deserving students. And everyone knows kids love physical education. Michaela knows and consistently treats each and every student in our school with respect and kindness. As a result, she has a wonderful rapport with each student who loves her and her class. Staff and students alike enjoy listening to her selection of music, which fills the gymnasium with energy and spunk. Michaela enthusiastically collaborates with and supports colleagues and initiatives such as our attendance program that rewards students who have perfect attendance. She will be the first one to lend a helping hand with an open mind and a can-do attitude. Michaela is a wonderful role model for our school community, which is why she is Silver Spring Elementary School's 2020 Teacher of the Year. Congratulations, Michaela.
Congratulations, Michaela.
Next is Waddington Elementary teacher, Erin Samard. As a teacher, Mrs. Samad demonstrates kindness each and every day. She shows a genuine love and respect for all of her students. Her classroom is always beautifully organized and reflects the care she puts into nurturing her students. She thoughtfully designs lessons and activities that engage for her kindergarten students. Mrs. Samad knows where every student is academically and what they need next to help them be successful. She is an advocate for her students and what is developmentally appropriate for her students. She goes above and beyond to make sure that each have what they need to learn. She infuses her classroom with energy by combining learning and humor. She welcomes all into her classroom, and when you enter her classroom, you immediately feel a part of their caring classroom community. Congratulations, Erin.
Congratulations.
Next is White Necks, Teacher of the Year, Cheyenne Shoemaker. A good teacher is like a candle. It consumes itself to light the way for others. Excuse me, let me reread that. A good teacher is like a candle. It consumes itself to light the way for others. Surely the creator of this phrase was speaking of our white neck teacher, Mrs. Cheyenne Shoemaker. Cheyenne constantly demonstrates her love for her students combined with exemplary teaching of all core subjects while giving her students important social, emotional, and academic skills. Her students admire and respect her greatly. She communicates very well with parents and colleagues, doing her best to resolve problems at the outset with creative and positive solutions. We appreciate and admire how Cheyenne differentiates instruction and assignments to meet the diverse needs of all her students. Not all superheroes wear capes. Congratulations, Cheyenne.
Congratulations, Cheyenne.
And now, the East Providence Teacher of the Year this year is Orlo Avenue's teacher, Jennifer Ruthvan. Congratulations to all the East Providence School Department Teachers of the Year and to all of our teachers this year especially for their dedication to the students and to distance learning. Thank you.
Congratulations to all.
Yes. All right. Next is the graduation update. I sent you out Governor Gina Raimondo's notification concerning graduation, which is a combination of the governor's recommendations, the Rhode Island Department of Health, and the Rhode Island Department of Education. East Providence will be doing a virtual graduation using these guidelines on June 6th, which is, well, it will be aired on June 6th, which is a Saturday evening at 6 o'clock on the Capitol TV station, as well as being streamed. We are going to be having the students in by appointment starting a day after Memorial Day and for the next 4 days. We can only have one student at a time come into the gym. We are going to have the stage decorated as if it were a rainy day at Pierce Field and we were forced to come into the gymnasium. The student will be wearing his cap and gown. They must wear a mask as they walk in and they walk across the stage. We will be allowing the parents to come in and stand in front of the stage as the student walks across the stage. And then the student will have their picture taken outside of the gymnasium where they can briefly take down their mask, put it back up, and walk out with their parents. We have to monitor this very closely because we can only have 5 people in that gymnasium. So we will be having the person that will be videoing this, the student, and the student's parents. And that's all that can be there. No one else can be on stage with the student. If the student touches anything, handrails on the way up, between students, we have to clean those handrails to protect the next student that comes in. We're going to run this for 4 days, from 12 noon to 7 o'clock at night to accommodate those parents that could not come during the day, but could come in the early evening. We hope to get through them all. We had a dry run. We believe it'll take each student approximately 2 minutes to go across the stage, walk in. We will video this. We will splice it all together. We will pre-record all of the speeches, the Val, the valedictorian, the 3rd highest rank in the class, the student council speech, my speech, as well as Principal Shaney's Wallace speech. And that will all be put together so when you're watching it on television or you're watching it live streamed, it will look like a graduation ceremony, but students must wear the masks on their faces at all time where they're in that gym. And right now we're limited to 5. So normally we also cannot pass out diplomas, and it's very explicit about that. So normally the chair, Shaney, the principal, would give Charlie the diploma. He would hand it to the student. That can't happen. It's only the student on the stage. So I'm going to ask if the school committee would like to be pre-recorded and give a 2-minute greeting to the class of 2020. And we could make an appointment that fits with you so that you're the only person there doing your recording, and we can splice it in along with the other speakers. That's entirely up to you. The mayor's greetings will also be pre-recorded. We will have police and some of our administration in the parking lot. We only have 5 cars there at a time. Those cars have to be 6 feet apart, minimum. No one can get out of their car until they're called into the building. And then once the person is out of the building, the next group or the next student will come into the building. Unfortunately, this is what happens, but once it's all put together, we're going to have music. We don't know yet what the chorus will be singing. We're waiting for Mary Ann LaSausa, but the band will also be played, and all of that will be put in after the filming. Student's name will be recorded out loud while the student is walking across the stage, but we're going to pre-record the names so that the sound is perfect and everyone on TV or live streaming can hear the student's name. Ben Russell, myself, Sandy, and Celeste will be meeting on Friday, and we will be setting, along with Shani, and we will be setting up those appointments, and this information will all be gotten out to the senior parents. We had talked about an alternative date in October, but if any of you listen to the news, we're not sure that they will allow large group gatherings even in October. So everything's so uncertain that we wanted to make sure that they had a graduation where they were allowed to walk across the stage. On Sunday at 12 noon, there will be a parade. We have talked to the police chief, and he is going to help the high school principal organize that. It's going to start at the carousel, and there is a route that will take them by both middle schools and the high school. And we hope to have the teachers lined up outside of the high school 6 feet apart and to wave to and congratulate the class of 2020. It will go all the way down Pawtucket Avenue into Rumford and back around, so that all areas of the town will be able to see the students in the parade. They can decorate their cars, and as long as they stay in their cars, they can't get out of the cars. There can be no handshaking and things of that nature, but the police are going to help us with that. So having said that, are there any questions?
Yes, Superintendent, I just, for everyone's information, everyone in the city wants these seniors to have a special day.
Mm-hmm.
And Mayor De Silva and I have been discussing different possibilities, and he has offered to let the cars drive through Pierce Field. He will support us logistically, and with the proper spacing, all of the seniors can drive through Pierce Field right on the track, which is a great offer. Pierce Field is so much of a tradition for our graduating seniors especially. So if Principal Wallace or you would contact the mayor, but he will set it up so that we can drive right on the track at Pierce Field.
Perfect. Thank you. I will. I'll have Shani contact him.
Great. Thank you.
Any other questions that anyone has? Now, would you like to, as school committee members, come up and give a short greetings to that class?
I would, Superintendent, for 2 minutes.
All right.
I would be honored to do that.
Okay. Joel? Jessica?
It ain't about me, it's about them. So I'm good.
Okay.
I just do have a question though.
You don't want to do that? All right. We just need
yes.
Mr. Ferreira.
No, I'm good.
Mr. Ferreira?
No, Kathy, I think after what these kids been through, it's strictly about them.
Okay.
And I personally believe that in my heart. It's strictly about these kids. They did 13 years,
Yeah.
and this is all about them. I'm so proud of what they accomplished and what they're going through.
Okay. And Mrs. Oliveira?
You're on mute.
Is she on mute?
You mute.
No, I don't think I'll,
Okay.
No.
So
Then I will defer back and leave it to the chair so that it's the chair speaking for the committee.
all right.
Joel,
then
I didn't hear the last part of that. What'd you say?
I said I will defer back and leave it to the chair to speak and represent the entire committee.
I would appreciate that. I really enjoy graduation.
Yeah.
And I think the kids are so excited for graduation day that I would miss not speaking to the kids.
Good. Then we'll talk, Charlie, and we'll schedule a time that's convenient for you.
Thank you.
Can I add that I expressed my frustration to the superintendent when this came out, when I said the irony of them not being able to be handed a diploma is that they can go through the drive-through and be handed a coffee.
Right.
But they can't be handed a diploma. So
I know.
a little frustrating, and I definitely feel
I know. It doesn't make sense, but I do have to abide by these
Yes, we do.
regulations.
No, I understand that, correct.
Well,
You know what? I'm sad to. Jessica?
Well, the governor's changing her mind every week, so we need to abide by those rules as well. So, I still have hope of something may change to that extent. Maybe we can by then, but I just want to make sure that, cause I did get that this morning and I've been up, are we doing everything that RIDE has given us? Like, are we going to put our valedictorian speech on the website? Like they have offered it? Okay.
Absolutely.
And I know that Channel 10 is also offering for I don't know what the fee is because they do say fee.
$1,500.
Okay. Well, that's a lot of money. I didn't
Yes.
realize that would be a lot. Thank you very much.
Russell and I looked into that.
That's a lot of money.
Yes, it is.
Superintendent, just a question, when they cross the stage, understanding that no one else is on the stage with them, will they have their diploma binder in hand?
No.
They can't, when do they receive that?
They don't get their diplomas really till after graduation. They're usually mailed to them. So what they pick up on the stage is just that, but I can't not give them out. The rationale is.
Right, but so when they receive their caps and gowns, can they receive that and come with it in hand?
Well, isn't that a great idea?
That, you know what, Joel?
It's fabulous.
Let me just think about that. Yeah, okay. Joel.
Because there's nothing inside of them.
Regulations right now because they said they didn't want them getting any cover.
Right.
But if they bring it from home and they bring it back from home, they didn't want us giving them anything that they would take home with potential germs on it. That's a good idea.
Right, we're giving them caps and gowns, so they get their caps, gowns in that folder.
Yeah.
And then they come, if they left it at home, then they left it at home. But if they come with it in hand, then they carry it.
All right. Good idea. Thank you. That's good.
That's a great idea, Joel. And I mean, we're assuming that the people are going to the honor society people will get their right stuff, right? I mean, they're going to get their tassels.
There's going to be an honors night that they are planning. The guidance department is planning, and they will be showing it virtually again online. It'll be streamed, and they will be announcing the winners, showing the students' picture, and giving the awards. Yes.
Okay.
CTE is also having their graduation. They have 2 dates because they asked me if I would pass out the honor cords as I have done in the past. They don't want to change anything, and I will do that virtually. And so, yes, everybody, those nights are still on. They'll be virtual.
Okay, can we get that information out to the public as soon as possible?
Yeah, they haven't seen yet. So I wanted to talk to the school committee first, and then, yes, we'll send that out. We'll have Shani send that out to you all.
Now, I do have no problem being in a parade, by the way. I have no problem, that I can do. Okay. I don't mind being in a parade.
Okay. I'll let them know that.
I can dress up like the finest. I got some good costumes.
All right. Next is the update on the stimulus pack. Oh, I'm sorry, Mr. Ferreira? Did you have something? No?
Oh, no, I'm all set, Kathy. Thank you.
All right, the stimulus package. You heard Ben talk about that a little in executive session. The stimulus package, we have given the amount of money that we're going to get. It's about 1.3 million of our Title I money. However, some of that money has to go to private schools that we service in the city. So Dr. Bowler is working on that because the CRP for Titles 1, 2, 3, 4 just opened up, and she'll be working on writing the new CRP, and she'll be looking at how that money, there's a webinar and how that money can be used. But some of that money will be going to our private and Catholic schools that partake in our Title I funding. And it's about 80% of our Title I funds. So we'll let you know as soon. There is an application process that we have to fill out. You heard that we can only use it for COVID-19 issues. For example, all of our students are given our Chromebooks. We need to replenish those Chromebooks. And so therefore, we might use some of that money to start our cycle of replenishing and updating our Chromebooks. And so we'll be looking at other expenses as well related to COVID-19 that we have to use that stimulus money. It's short-lived. We have to use it within next year, and it has to be COVID-19 related. We have to send our plan or application in to RIDE for approval.
And Celeste looks so excited to be writing another
Did she make faces on the screen?
No, not at all.
Nope, she has a poker face.
Tongue out at you.
Yes, so she's going to be quarantined doing that.
So,
Next is our MLL, and I think I called your attention to that earlier. If you look at the report Uniza sent to you, you'll see that we made great progress this year with our multilingual learners. And we actually didn't exit many in previous years, but we have 33 exiting this year. So congratulations to Uniza Gallant and to all of the multilingual language teachers for the successes they're having with our multilingual language learners.
I don't know. I'm assuming this is the public needs to see this. I don't know how to show them.
Well, we can put it up on the website.
Yeah, that's huge.
Yeah, isn't it? That's excellent. It means we're servicing the way we should be servicing them. And that's important, but it'll go on our website. Middle school grading, I'm going to let Sandy Ferran talk to you about that as she talked to you about the high school previously. Dr. Ferran?
Yeah. So we met several times with the department coordinators from both middle schools and the principal to discuss middle school grading for the fourth quarter. And what we finally decided on was that we would have 3 grades. So we have basically a below distance learning standards, a meeting the standard or exceeding the standard. And those would translate to numerical grades of 60 or 100 for students. So, if a student doesn't turn in work, they would still get a 60. And we typically try not to give grades below that so that students do have a chance to pass, even if they have a difficult time, maybe submitting a couple of assignments. So we thought that this would serve students. And we did send this all home to parents with guidelines for the grading process and what the expectations were. And we sent something out to staff that listed all of this also. And we really looked at family needs during this time, the variation in at-home settings for students, how long we've been in distance learning, the impact on student success, and the issue of equity across the different classrooms and with different students.
Any questions that anyone has?
In 80 is meeting a standard?
That's what we used for this.
And so does that get combined to an average overall? So for English, if you got an 80 for the fourth quarter and a 90 and a 90 and a 90, that will all get averaged in for a final grade?
It will. So the difference is, I think we just understand that what it looks like in distance learning is different from what it looks like in the real classroom. So I know typically 4s have been an issue in the district at the elementary level, but if you have an assignment under this system and it's done, well, then you should be getting the exceeds the standard.
Okay, so
you should be getting the 100 for that.
Okay.
We don't want a negative impact on students' overall average for the year. If students are having difficulty accessing or even access to teachers, it's not like being in a classroom. They are meeting with teachers and they also do office hours, but it's really, they don't have as much access. They're not sitting with a teacher in a classroom for 50 minutes.
Are we doing anything at the elementary level? Are we concerned with the 2s that are the ones in the 2s that are still being on report cards?
We're No, go ahead, Sandy, you answer
So-
that.
And it goes to anyone, yeah.
Yeah.
Yes,
No,
we've worked with all levels. Dr. Bowler actually worked with the elementary principals who consulted with their teachers to kind of alter the grading system at the elementary level also. It's more of kind of changing what distance learning looks like and the expectations for it. And I don't know if you want to speak to that, Celeste.
So I would say basically we use the same framework that the high school did and the middle school did. We looked at the grades. We had grade level meetings with the teachers to discuss what a certain grade would look like, with the understanding, as Sandy said, that distance learning does not equate to classroom on-site learning. And also, as Sandy said, not to penalize kids. We know that there is a variability in terms of students being able to complete work. We're trying to be sensitive to their home life and understanding that parents are home, kids are home. They're both trying to navigate work and school. And so we spent time, the elementary principals, talking to teachers so it would be clear and consistent that the grade given at one school would be the same as the grade given at another school in terms of distance learning.
So are the parents at the elementary schools going to be informed of this as the middle school parents were and the high school parents were?
We can certainly send the information out.
I think the more that the parents know, the more they have a connection to what's going on, the better it is.
Sure. I can ask the elementary principals to send it out. They wrote everything up. It's all documented based on our conversations with the teachers.
I mean, we have, when you have kids going from elementary school to the middle school at this time, you're not sure, are they really at the level that they should be at? Are they,
I'm sorry, Jessica, go ahead.
Yeah. So when you have children that are going from 5th to 6th grade, we're in a different world right now. This is not the norm, just like going from 8th to 9th grade. Like Sandy said, you're having kids that, maybe be getting 100s that, because of the situation. I know we're all going to be working on this. This is something all new to everybody, but I guess what I'm trying to get at is the more that you inform parents that this is going on, the better it is, I think. This is coming from a parent and as an advocate for children, which is why I'm sitting in this seat.
And I think the framework that Cindy and I both talked about is because we are advocating for what would be best for students, and also understanding you talked about what we will see in terms of student performance once they actually step back into the school. There is concern about that because for some kids, there's research that said that there is summer slump. And so summer, the slump could be even deeper, and it could be even a lot different. And so even though kids are ending the school year with these particular grades, we cannot be guaranteed whether they high grades or low grades, what they will look like come the fall, even if we step into school in the fall. So there are a lot of variables around the thinking behind the grades. And so next year, when school starts and teachers are reviewing the report cards, that was part of the framework. So when not me, but when teachers take a look at the report cards, they can go back to the framework and say, this grade meant this based on our conversation and what we agreed upon. Johnny Jones may still be at that level, and we will find out, but he may not be. So I think in terms of your statement, I think that's a good one, but I also think that we also need to accept that there could be some regression and a different type of regression that we have not seen before. And not only in academics, but also in social emotional.
That's kind of where I was getting at without getting personal on a personal note. yes,
Yeah.
I 100%. Yes. And that's why I was wondering if we're all on the same page and if we can get that information out to parents. I think, some parents aren't going to even, I guess, as a parent from a fifth grader who's going up to the middle school level, all I do is want her to be ready for the middle school. We always have the summer slump. We always have the summer slide that, we've always done that, but now you got like the spring and the summer slide for some students. And I think that it would just be really good to know that we know as a school committee that, okay, the middle school teachers are aware that the grades look like this. The high school teachers know that the grades look like this. They may not represent what they used to represent, but I think now if we know that the elementary look like this and we are all on the same page, then we let the parents know that they're all on the same page. I think we're in a better opportunity.
And that was part of the reason why these grade level meetings were held.
Yep.
There's going to need to be a lot of conversations between transition levels too, so that
Yes.
We know where we left off, we know what material we've covered, we know what we have to go back to. So that's going to be essential more towards even the end of the year. We have a PD day in June, and even at the beginning of next year to really pinpoint where we got and what we need to do to make sure students are where they need to be.
Okay. Any other questions? All right. I was going to say something about special ed, but I'm going to let Leslie talk to you at the next meeting. Now, the last, but probably the most disturbing is the update on layoffs. As a result of the AFT union not approving moving the date back from June 1st to July 1st, I will have to call a special school committee meeting 2 weeks from today and to just do layoffs because I have to notify these people by June 1st. I have to send a preliminary letter and then a follow-up letter after your approval. If anyone heard the governor today, you heard that the state is in deficit of $800 million. He said that it was very, very bad and the cuts are going to be deep. She also talked about furloughing her state workers, that it was going to happen. A member of the news asked her that question, and she said it is inevitable that I will be furloughing state workers. She said everything is on the cutting board as far as the budget is concerned. So therefore, unfortunately, our cuts will be deep. Naturally, I have to keep teachers in front of students. Our group met for almost 6 hours one day. We have 2 preliminary lists. We are meeting Thursday again, virtually, and going over our displacements and our layoffs for next year. Both teachers, paraprofessionals, administrative assistants, and custodians, and we're looking at custodians and maintenance, although there's some openings that we haven't filled there. So we're looking at all levels. It's not something that I take lightly. In past years, one year I didn't have any layoffs. We've been able to recall everybody we've laid off in the past, but I don't think that's going to be possible this year. I meet every Friday. Charlie's on that group with our elected officials, with the mayor. The city naturally is not getting the revenues in that they need as well. So I think all cities and towns and all school departments in the state of Rhode Island are looking at some severe cuts going into next year. So I will try to get that list out to you a day or so before the meeting, maybe the Friday before the meeting. We have to go over it very carefully because it's all about seniority. And so I'll try to get it out to you as soon as possible. so that you can look at it. And if you have any questions, you can ask us. On that committee is myself, Sandy Ferran, Celeste Bola, Cheryl Mamoni, Craig Enos, Nick Shattuck is on that committee, Rebecca Gendron's on that committee. And it takes us quite a while to go through this process with the district this size to ensure that we have laid off the correct people. So that will be, Charlie, if we could potentially call a special meeting just for the layoffs 2 weeks from this Tuesday, if that would be all right.
That's fine.
Okay. All right. Unfortunately, NEA was for it. Our union was for it. It was AFT that didn't want to budge. So as a result, all school districts, and that is a law that a contractual obligation that we have to do it by June 1st. Otherwise, we cannot lay off after that. So my obligation is to make sure that we lay off enough so that the district isn't in any kind of deficit. Okay, so that's it for me tonight.
Thank you very much, Superintendent. The next item on the agenda is the Director of Human Resources Report, Cheryl Mamoni.
I'm here. I'm just trying to get my picture back up. Good evening.
Good evening.
Good evening.
So this evening, we have 2 retirements to report. Judith McNulty, she's a studies teacher at East Providence High School, effective end of 2019-20 school year. And we have Richard Martin, social studies teacher at East Providence High School, effective end 2019-2020 school year. I have a little information on each retiree. I would first like to start with Kevin Kohler. His retirement was reported in the April school committee meeting and announced and approved by the school committee. Kevin Kohler is retiring from the East Providence School District at the end of 2019-2020 school year. He will have worked for us for a total of 20 years. He was hired in September of 1999 as a business teacher at Martin Middle School. Kevin will retire from this same position at the end of 2019-2020 school year. The next retiree is Judith McNulty. She's retiring from East Providence School District at the end of the 19-20 school year. She will have worked for us for a total of 19 and a half years. Judith was hired in September of 2000 as a special education resource teacher at the East Providence High School. Judith spent all of her 9.5 years at the high school as both a special education resource teacher and a social studies teacher. She will retire from her current position as a social studies teacher at the end of 1920 school year. And then we have Richard Martin, who is retiring from the East Providence School District at the end of the 1920 school year. He will have worked for us for a total of 33.5 years. Richard was hired in September of 1986 as a social studies teacher at Martin Middle School. After teaching at Martin Middle School for 15 years, he then transferred to the East Providence School as a social studies teacher. Richard was awarded Teacher of the Year for school year 17-18. He will be retiring from this position from which he has held for 19 years at the end of 19-20 school year. Please join me in wishing all of our retirees health and happiness in their retirement. Thank you.
Absolutely.
Congratulations.
Thank you to them, and congrats on strong careers, and thank you for your service. As a parent, for those, Mr. Martin, both my kids had him. So, that's a loss to the district as the other 2 are fine educators as well.
I have nothing else to report, just the vote on the 2 retirements.
Move to approve.
Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Motion made and seconded I just want to say, Mr. Martin, maybe we can put him to work again someday. Who knows? But all in favor,
Fingers
please
crossed.
signify by saying aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion carries. Congratulations on the retirement. I want to mention to the superintendent, before I forget, please contact or have Principal Wallace contact the mayor about the drive-through at Pierce Field. He has plans to do some work there directly for this graduation. So the sooner you contact him, he can get to work on Pierce Field and make sure it's ready for graduation.
Tomorrow.
Thank you, Kathy.
You're welcome.
The next item is the Director of Finance report. Craig Enos.
Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
Good evening. We are 6 months into the fiscal year. We are at the halfway point, and we remain at a good, solid financial. In terms of the monthly financial report from changes from last month, there are just items that I wanted to point out to you. On the bottom of page 1, account number 54501, in the construction line item, you'll see that there's a little bit of a jump from last month, because there was an invoice from the Martin elevator project last year that we never received, and so the contractor finally outreached to us. So that amount was paid. So it's showing on the monthly financial report now. And what I will do is I will be requesting reimbursement for that through the housing aid forms that I will be submitting to the Department of Ed in June. And then finally, on page 2, account number 56401, you can see the expense there of $89,000. That is to represent textbooks. That was for the math curriculum that we had to purchase. We have one more year that we wanted to access from our math curriculum. And so that amount is just for 1 year. In the budget for next year, you'll be seeing the budgeted amount for the math curriculum that we need to purchase. And so that for right now is all I have to report. So are there any questions?
Craig, you're very efficient as always. I saw a release that the Bristol Warren superintendent was projecting a surplus in his district. Do you, are the rules, do you see any changes in the way the state may look at a surplus?
No. So, as I said, we are at the halfway point. And so for us, I can see that we have various items in which we are savings. So we're not using as many substitutes. We're not going on as many field trips. We don't have the athletic transportation pieces that we have in place. We're saving on the electricity. So we are seeing some savings which are going to help us. Certainly can't say right now that we're going to be having a surplus because we're only at the halfway point.
I thought that was an interesting article on him.
They must be in a unique position where they don't need to build up a capital fund like we've been doing with our surplus.
Well, the one thing that they have, and I saw the same article, like I mentioned before, and it's not just them, there's a couple districts that have said that, but their fiscal year ends the end of June. So so they're already projecting that. Ours does not. So we need to remind people, ours still goes all the way to the end of October.
Right.
There's also, which I would like to add, does say about food service. And like we know, we're feeding a lot of children and we set up to do that. Their district did not. So I'd like to make point of that as well.
Right.
So that's how they're saving that much money in certain areas. So
It was an interesting statement.
It was very
Sure
much.
was.
Yeah. Thanks, Craig.
Thank you very much.
The next item on the agenda is the policy committee report. Jessica?
Yes, thank you. I just had to switch computers. So, Cheryl, if you have it in front of you, I had to switch computers for my. So we have a couple that are in front of you right now. We have still been meeting, and we will continue to meet and go through the book. So the one that you have in front of you, the first one. Oh, we're not going through those yet. Okay, then never mind. So I don't really need to talk about it. So we are still meeting. Karen and I are meeting with Cheryl. And we'll meet again this week. And going through it, and we're just doing the easier ones right now. We are looking at some of the tougher ones. We are going to be doing the fundraising one that we had talked about. We are looking at the, unfortunately, we are looking at anything that may govern COVID-19 if that continues through the following year. So we have had a lot of talk, but the ones in front of you tonight are the ones with very words that just needed to be added or taken away. And that's all I have.
Well, Jessica, I have some questions. Are we voting on any of these for first passage?
They should have been in there for first passage.
Okay, well,
you got
Read.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5 for first read. No votes though, right?
No, they're just for first read, I believe.
Oh, yeah.
So I have one on the, if I may, Charlie.
Yes.
On the second one, the org chart.
Yes, we probably have the same questions. So.
Okay, so the one that was glaring was Dr. Ferran and Dr. Bowler's administrative assistant is still listed as Ann Hopper.
Okay, so we will make, we'll look. We missed that one.
Yes. So we were trying to debate whether or not we should just leave them blank, the names completely, because it is just a flow chart. Right. And
I would.
We could, but for now, this is what it is. But we can do both. We can do one that just has the names and then one that's empty and can be put in with the names.
I guess it's a question of maintenance, right? I mean, how often do you want to?
Right.
I think the names are unnecessary, and I mean, they may want to be on there, which is fine with me. I don't care.
I did ask that question. I wasn't sure what the reasoning was behind it, but
Jessica, I'm wondering about with the sit teams now. You notice you've got this custodial staff in the flow chart in the different places, and I don't want to be repetitive, but
I think that's a good question, Charlie. I think that's a good question. My expectation would be that maintenance would still be evaluated by the maintenance director because that's by job, whereas custodial is day-to-day operations, which is the responsibility of the building principal. That's how I would expect. I think it's a valid question.
My question was only about the equality from place to place,
There's a standard evaluation for custodians, Charlie, that all the principals have, and that's what they'll use to evaluate them. It's a contractual obligation right now. It was one of the things we were going to look at if we ever get to the contracts. But right now, they'd all be using the same document, the custodians.
Kathy, in those discussions, to Charlie's point for equity, going back to something that I had kind of raised quite a few years back, is there talk of having for lack of a better term, a to-do list for each building, as you know, as part of that evaluation. I mean, I don't, in this case, as an evaluation tool. In the past, when I brought it up, it was more so so that we could kind of have an idea of workload, whether or not, you know, if we have too many tasks in a building for the personnel, or if there's coverage, and you know, someone's covering a building, you know, how are they to know what the priorities are for a particular day? Because usually there's stuff that's done every day and stuff that's done on alternate, stuff like that. But again, maybe for another discussion.
Yeah, I just tell you, there is a to-do list, there is a list. The principals were reviewing that this year with their custodians as the buildings had been blitzed through, and then they were turning it in. But we really have to look at it and update it, and we were gonna do that in the talks, the contractual talks. Because again, that was negotiated in, but there is a list of duties.
In the job descriptions also.
Yes, we have to really look at those job descriptions, yep.
Okay, those are my only questions on that.
Mm-hmm.
Jessica, shall we,
Anything
I have
else?
some,
The other ones?
yes, I do. I've got on the next item, on the,
For first read, so we can, we can change things, make adjustments, whatever you need.
okay, the interpretation of a phrase like significance for students who shall attend the school, okay? What does that mean? What does that mean?
Well,
you know, I mean, I'm a fourth grader or a third grader. How do I, you know, how is somebody significant to me? Okay, seriously.
Right.
So I mean, that's kind of a confusing phrase.
Correct. And so this has been in the book since, I don't know, 1906. I guess whoever wrote it in 1906 decided that it should have significant for the student. Now, Karen and I went through each one of these lines and tried to, I think, make not excuse is not the word, but make every line make sense. And it should have significant for the student.
Hello? Yeah.
Karen, you want to help me out on this one?
I think we were saying that it is vague. It is written vaguely, but it can be used to our advantage to support.
To what?
To support a name assignment or even disqualify someone.
Yes.
I think some of these are in there, not necessarily. I personally think they're in there to give the committee leeway in
a way out.
You know what? But I don't think they serve a purpose. In other words, if they don't serve a purpose, why even have them in there? And another phrase I like, it was, what is easily identifiable? You know, I think it's good to work on this. I agree with you, but
no,
I think
I have no problem taking them out. I really don't, because we had this same discussion. So I have no problem removing it. I think it was initially in there, though, to give the committee that kind of leeway that you could either use that in favor of someone or against someone.
Well, that's okay, but I don't know if these words help anybody's case, really.
No,
or hurt.
I know.
So when I read that, first of all, I agree that, you know, we definitely want to, you know, it shouldn't be something that can be used as a you know, political favor repayment.
Right.
The significance piece, I kept reading that, and I don't know if it needs to be reworded, but when I think of significance, you know, my thought is, you know, and I'm no historian by any means, but you know, it should be to the point where if someone says, you know, hey, who is, you know, and I'm not going to name any names or single out any of our schools, but who is such and such, where, you know, they will say, well, you know, that person was, you know, played a significant role in doing X for the community. And, you know, and maybe it sets an example for the student to kind of know a little bit of history of their community. But yeah, it should bear some significance to their, you know, there should be some value when it's communicated to the student.
I think,
Joel, I respect Joel, you're not mentioning names, but let me mention a name, okay? Ken Walker, okay? Ken Walker to me is significant, but what does he mean to other people? You know, and I think we're better. I can't support these words, okay? And I don't mean that for or against Ken Walker. I'm just saying, you know, it's a very nebulous group of words that we have here. So,
well, I mean,
I don't think we want to curtail future school committees either.
No, because we passed this back in
1906.
No, in 2014.
Yeah.
And then probably before that, 1906. So I do think the significance, when we did discuss the significance for the students who shall attend the school, I think it would be like if, and no names, but I think it would be like if you were to name a science room, you wouldn't name it after a math teacher or a history teacher. You would name a science lab after a science teacher that was significant in the school. I think that's what we meant by saying that. And the name would I'm going back on my notes now. The name should be easily identifiable for the school. I would assume you wouldn't name a school Kent Heights in Riverside over by Oldham, because that was significant over in the Kent Heights area. So I'm not sure if that's I guess that's what that
I don't have health care from them.
So I would be happy to go back and look at this,
3,000.
visit it, and bring up some more and get some more ideas and take your ideas. And we are meeting Thursday, and we can bring it back to you.
Yeah, and I would say though that, you know, significance is going to be relative, right? And it's not necessarily going to be universal. You know, so I mean, I think to use that example, right? And I know that and trust and believe that you know, we all think highly of Ken Walker, but there would be some that would not have an understanding or a connection. But significant would be, I would say, a significant part of the population, even if not the whole, right? But so it may not reach the whole population, the whole community, but you know, you take someone, you know, if you look at in recent times, you know, Dr. Ramos in his naming, so the accolades that are mentioned in the justification for that naming are more significant to the Cape Verdean and minority community in East Providence, not so much the white community. I mean, many respect and so forth, but the significance varies. And I would say probably the same for a white neck, you know, Emma G. White Neck or anybody like that. But yeah, it's a tough one. And you know, my objective with this policy is that it is that it does have some clear qualifiers, so that it doesn't become a you know, a political cookie jar.
And you have to remember,
I agree.
It all has to go in front of the public.
And that's what Joel, that's what we were focusing our discussion on. Fearful that people would come in and put proposals forward that had no significant meaning to that school, perhaps to the district, but would you then change the name of a school that had significant meaning to that immediate community? Because, you know, so we looked at that language and thought they put it in to help you include or, you know, exclude some. Yeah. So it was tough. It was hard. But if we take that out, I think we still need to put something in the policy to not encourage that kind of political favor or whatever, because we've got a new school being built. I don't think we're not going to have a lot of requisitions for naming classrooms, gym, whatever. You know, we got to be careful.
Like I've said about that, there's a lot of big bricks to be bought. Everyone's entitled to their own brick.
Well, there you go.
All put their name on the school. To just buy a brick and put your name on it.
But I see a flood of requests coming.
Could I make a comment about the policy?
Of course you can.
So going back and reading the policy, I think I'm on the right one about naming buildings and naming new facilities. It seems like what you're talking about a lot of the verbiage is contained in your first paragraph. You're talking about somebody who's prominent locally or nationally in the field of history education. I don't know if that should be part of your guidelines. That's just a thought, because that's what I think Joel was hinting at. I think that's sort of what Jessica was hinting at. It seems like some of your guidelines are in your first paragraph.
Yeah.
So I mean, instead of leading in with that paragraph, perhaps maybe you use some of those in your guidelines, because I think that's what you're struggling with. I mean, that's just my observation. I don't know. I wasn't on the committee, and that's just an initial thought. No depth on my part, but just an initial thought.
And I think that, Celeste, I think that is like, we could take that paragraph and instead we can change the paragraph to say, to establish an equitable process by which the school committee can assume its responsibility for naming school facilities. And then take those things and bring it down.
That's a possibility.
So Celeste, we'll expect a draft of a policy from you.
Yeah.
What time is it now?
He's a very good wordsmither.
A quick observation. I really have to think about it, but that was just a quick observation.
Thank you. All suggestions are well received.
All comments welcome.
Yes.
Okay.
But I think it's really, if that's the way it's been since 1906, it isn't good. Don't quote me on it. But what about the process of coming before the school committee? It's not mentioned on there.
At
the bottom.
At the bottom, it says that you have to have an open meeting, which is the one that I screwed that up with, if you remember, myself. So I admit when I'm wrong, and I seldomly am, but when I do, I say it out loud. It says the school committee should hold an open hearing to obtain public input prior to naming a new facility or changing the name of the school facility or portion of a facility.
Okay, I'd rather wait on this and see what Celeste comes up with.
I'm not, but I do have one more comment.
We will invite her.
I'm not, but I do have one more am I on? I do have one more comment, and that is, what's the determining factor? So they come before the school committee. Does the school committee take a vote, or do you just listen? And is it a vote? Is it a consensus, or is it who gets the most votes? So all of those things, I think, might need to be considered when you put that in the policy. The consensus doesn't mean it's the person who gets the most votes. It could be, right, but the consensus is you've talked about it, you agree, and regardless of whether it's the person you think, you will support that. You won't leave the room and say, it really should have been this because of that. That's the consensus part. So I think you do have to sort of define in the end, who's the determiner? And what will be the determining sort of.
So here's what happens.
I like those points.
Thursday they're having a policy committee meeting, isn't it? Thursday, Jessica?
4 o'clock. Thursday.
Is it Thursday?
Thursday.
The
4 o'clock.
committee?
Yep.
I think you should invite Cheryl, Dr. Bowler to come. and she could help you reword that. I agree with Charlie. I'm directing her to come. Okay.
But thank you very much. I do like those points that you made, so thank you.
Yeah, she's good at that.
I did write them all down and I have them, and anybody else, if you'd like to send me anything that you have by then or an example of anybody else's that sounds good or better, I will be happy to take it and work with it and see what I can come up with. And here I thought that was going to be the easy one. I mean, I was just going to say everyone get a brick.
Jess, I would maybe add in there.
Yes.
Two public meetings. In other words.
Oh, you're
I'm sorry. In other words, because I know a couple of times it'll be the after the fact. Oh, I didn't see that was on the agenda. Like it hits the agenda once, and there's a public discussion, and then a vote, and it's gone. And I mean, we're talking about something that's permanent. We do a first read, and then another read for a vote to approve a policy, which can change in a month. The naming of a building or any other structure is pretty much permanent, depending on until the morals of the committees that follow. But I think it might be worthy of two public sessions.
Okay.
So two passages. Two
public sessions. Yep.
Yeah.
And then you could end it with the board will make the final decision and reserves the right to reject any proposal name a building or facility or something.
And you have to decide if it's going to be a majority or a consensus.
Correct. I'm printing as you speak, and it is printing. This is kind of nice being home.
Thanks again.
Jessica, I have one more question for you.
Okay.
I missed those policy meetings.
Charlie, you're invited anytime you want to come.
I know. The facilities, and I have just notes here, okay? In the facilities policy, you have that the school committee and the superintendent will do the spring. Does it say spring inspection?
Yes. So this one also is. Hold on, I'm going down. I have facilities. So yes, this one was developed back in February of 2014 as well. And I remember this very well because Mr. Ferrer was also part of this, that we were going to be touring the buildings.
Okay, but the policy says spring, right?
Yes, each spring.
Well, what about the fall? Wouldn't we want to see them?
Yeah, I mean, maybe as a follow-up, if I remember correctly, and if I don't know if Tony's, I think he's still on, but if I remember, I think his rationale was the spring would get everybody in agreement with what would be on the summer projects list.
I thought,
and then maybe the fall, to your point, Charlie. Now the fall might be a validation of verification of.
Are we ready?
Right.
So a little bit about that policy.
Yep.
Remember now, the custodians are under the principals and we're blitzing through the buildings to do the bigger things. We have, they're in Hennessy now. They have Silver Spring to do, Waddington to do, and Oldham to do, which now that the custodians are back as of yesterday, once we have the teachers in and they have gotten their stuff, they're going to start on those schools and we're going to have that sheet resurrected again that we used. I'm thinking that Mr. Ferrera will go through the buildings with Mr. Fiola at that point in time so that we can see what we have to do, because we actually can start that, earlier, and we need to finish those 4 buildings by, the time we open up, at least, if we open up next year. So some of that would have to be looked at. We probably want to inspect them in the fall after you've seen a summer cleaning and, walk through them at that time. Right, Mr. Ferreira, I'm thinking.
Exactly, Kathy. We have two schools that are about 99% done that we just never got a chance to do our final walkthrough with Tony, and that we have the other four. And what's extremely important that we do get that done, Kathy, is because the buildings that we did do so far are in such great shape, especially due to the financial hardships that we're going to be facing. If we can ever get the other four done, this district will be in great shape before we hit that, possibly or most likely lay off for some custodians and stuff. So if we can work on that over the next 2 to 3 months, it would be ideal to get that done.
Right, that's exactly what we're going to be doing now that the guys are back. Yep.
So is this a policy, Tony, that you think we should keep as is, or should we hold off on this policy and wait until we see how all the buildings are, and then want to add anything with the principals or any wording about that?
Exactly, Jess. I think that'd be a great idea, because once the principals get the buildings, exactly, then you might be able to meet with them individually, see what, the final input for them was, and then make that a policy, which would be excellent, because now we're handing them over a building that's, with a 9 or a 9.5 to see what they want met constantly should become a policy. In other words, I think that's a great idea, Jess, to do that.
So do you still think it would be a good idea just to have this policy that the superintendent, with the assistance of the facility director, should always walk the schools every fall or spring anyway? Together?
Oh yeah, I would say, Jess, that even if we did them, at the fall before they open, because even the prior school committees down the road, I think out of respect, where at the end of the day they'd be liable for them as elected officials, should always have that final walk if they choose to walk through it. Most definitely, I think the fall would be fine.
Okay.
Paying attention.
So if we keep this one and then other policy, once all the schools are done, that the principal could do that. So just change the spring to the fall.
Exactly, Jeff, because you got to remember, Jeff, we also have the building inspector. At this point, it'd be Ted, as long as Ted's with us. But the building inspector also tries to go through the latter part, middle of July, latter part of July, just to make sure that we get up to par with any state violations. So I think the fall walkthrough would be much better off.
Okay, got it. Okay.
I have a question that's not about the policy itself, but about the maintenance of the buildings. Are we going to make any purchases anticipating that we may need things for the fall? The sterilizing machines. I understand. What do we have? Like 4 of them in the district? Do we need one for every school? Is everybody going to be rushing to purchase these things at the last minute?
Nope, Karen, Craig and myself and Tony Fiola, we have ordered some things ahead of time, anticipating, and if Mr. Ferreira wants to chop in, I have children's masks that we ordered. They came through, anticipating. He's put orders in for cleaning supplies, right, Craig?
Yeah, correct. We've ordered masks, we've ordered gloves, we've ordered the sanitizing guns. Ordered for the larger schools, like for Martin and for the high school, we ordered a couple of the sanitizing the backpacks. Just doing the little gun isn't going to do that.
Are they back ordered, or do they have them?
They are, yeah. And we actually ordered them right in the beginning. So, they're saying that they are on back order, and as soon as they come in, then we will receive them. But
how about hand sanitizer dispensers for the hallways or outside the cafeteria? Well,
So replacement bags, we've done the replacement bags, but we've also ordered heat sensors. So in other words, we can take the temperature of people coming
Yeah, the
into
thermometer.
the building.
Yep.
We've ordered those as well. Yeah.
Maybe by midsummer, they're saying a lot of this stuff will start coming in again, but I know that a lot's back ordered. You can't get a hold of it. And schools that haven't done it yet are gonna be, sucking air.
Thermometers came in today.
Good job. Good job.
So see, as they come in, we're there. Yep.
Good job. Good job. Thanks. Awesome.
Super meat.
Okay, anything else for this, policies? Anything on the legal structure? Governance? Anybody? Okay, I think I'm done.
Okay. Thank you. The next item on the agenda is the building committee report. Joe Montero?
All right. So I'm actually, I'm going to go over the OPM report that we received last night at the building committee. I think it's a good highlight item. I just emailed it to school committee members. I meant to email it earlier, but I just sent that to you. Basically running this down, I won't go line by line, but I'll cover it all and then you'll be able to review the details. All of your permitting, our DEM permitting is completed. DOT application was submitted and we're waiting for a response from DOT. We sent Par Corp, which is part of the engineering group. They sent their response back on Friday to the DOT, so that's in process. Basically on track. As part of that, I think you all will recall that there was a letter that we sent from superintendent's office to the governor's office regarding the road work in front of the school. DOT was asking that we own the cost of paving Pawtucket Avenue completely for that span. We didn't get an answer, but we did get an acknowledgement from the governor's office from Kevin Gallagher to the superintendent saying that a response would be forthcoming. So that's in process. No update on that. And again, that estimated value was about $60,000 worth of work that DOT already plans to do. For those who aren't aware, they had put it as basically, in order to get the permitting, had said that we would have to do it as part of our project. So we're pushing back at DOT that they take care of their own obligations with their own funding. The City of East Providence permitting process has been spot on. Everything's completed. Building department completed their review on May 5th. Fire departments, everybody signed off on all the permitting there. So we are in really good shape there. Procurement in process, there's quite a few. I mean, we're getting down to those end packages, such as, overhead doors, which we know for the CTC programs that will be there, acoustical ceiling tiles. I'm just running through gym equipment and bleachers. Again, these will be on the list that you have. So those are the ones that are basically being reviewed. Bid packages that are out to bid. Some of the other flooring, wall and floor tile, cleaning, even the final cleaning bids, those are out on the street now. The GMP contract, it's basically in process. The building committee is awaiting a potentially final draft, basically. Gilbane and Peregrine the architects are vetting out a draft now that will come to the building committee, and at our next building committee meeting on the 8th of June, all of the building committee members will have seen that draft. And if it is within the liking of the building committee and all parties, then it could potentially be accepted and approved on the 8th. However, we did schedule a second meeting for June. I think the 21st, whatever that Monday is. Yeah. And, if need be. So the expectation is that we could have a GMP agreed upon by the 8th. And if not, then by the 22nd of June, which would come to the school committee, 21st, which would come the following night to the school committee. And again, just to remind the public, as far as the process, because of the condition of the current high school, work is going on prior to a GMP. If we had a few years to wait, then, all of this stuff maybe would have done in advance. But I think the attention to detail that we're getting from Peregrine and those folks has really allowed us to manage a lot of these ongoing projects, while we're still developing the GMP. Next would be MWBE. As you may remember, that's 10% goal for the total project that the state puts on. And Gilbane has been very diligent in going after as much MWBE business as possible. And we are currently at 17.23% of the project is representing MWBE business. So, it's going to get tougher. We all know that as we head into these later trades. But we're definitely well ahead of where we wanted to be, or hope to be, or aim to be. So, all of these bids, when they're reviewed, they go by the Department of Administration for justification. Gilbane basically has to present to them why they're going in the direction they're going, and they are very pleased with the process. And there's also a kind of a small group of folks that the DOA has put in place that Gilbane interacts with, and Council President Brito, I believe he chairs or co-chairs that group that gets feedback on the MWBE business. And I speak with Councilman Brito, Council President Brito, quite often, and he's very active connections with Gilbane and with Peregrine and the other folks. So that's going really well. And commissioning is part of that one. Project milestones. Basically, phase 1 site work, April. So right now, and if you drive by, you'll notice there's steel, a good amount of steel. It's pretty impressive. So you have steel erected, basically working south to north, and we're chugging along. There's also concrete slab that has been laid in place on a few of the floors. We're waiting for some steel. We got, I think last week, maybe about 6 trucks of steel. So Cheryl wants to play some music, but we have about steel's a little delayed, but it's coming in, and there you'll see we've got quite a few trades on site. So what may lag, if any, on the steel erection. The other things like the concrete slab and the utilities continue to go on. So we're adjusting and kind of getting a gauge for the pace. And it's good that things are starting to open up, including all the manufacturing pretty much in almost all countries. I told you next meeting's on the 8th. In your packet, it's way too small to present, but you'll see a 4-week look ahead, which basically shows all the trades that have been mobilized and plan to be mobilized on site. And then there's also some photos of the job site, which shows the steel structure, some of the underground utilities, as well as the cement slabs that are being poured in. So that was a lot. And again, it's kind of hard to wrap up what we cover in that building meeting. I think that package that I sent to you as members is a good breakdown of where we're at. And the last page kind of shows where we are against budget, which we're trending just where we need to be. We have, are there any questions on that before I get into my last
Joel,
and final?
did you mention any supply chain issues? Are there any supply chain issues?
Right. So to date, the only thing that we're aware of, Charlie, was the steel. And I'll tell you that when the COVID-19 situation hit, there was an initial concern or understanding, I will say, that the Canadian border had been shut down and we wouldn't be seeing any steel at all. And, so that was going back a few weeks. And, day after that, we received a couple trucks. And then, like I said, in the last week or so, we received, I'd say in the last week and a half, we received, I think, 8 truckloads of steel. So it's not exactly on pace, but it's coming more than we anticipated when this COVID-19 piece hit. What we are waiting on is Gilbane is putting together a schedule, an actual versus schedule on the steel delivery, so that we can find out just where we sit, because some of the steel is manufactured and kind of sequenced in order, but we did receive some steel that was out of sequence, as far as maybe it's for the 4th floor of the north end, and we're still working on the 1st floor. So they're tallying that up so that we can get an idea as to where we're at against the original timeline, so that we can kind of gauge what delay we've seen, and then from there how we can recover to hopefully catch up. So we're remaining optimistic and diligent, and I'll tell you what I share with our contracted professionals, and Craig and Kathy can tell you that just as you all enjoy working with me, they feel the directness of my questions as well. And but I do tell them, and I sincerely mean this, that I expect to, at the end of this project, turn around and look at all of these professionals that we hired, Peregrine, Gilbane, AI3, and the like, and say, you know what, we grabbed the right folks, and we did better than we thought we would, considering what we were up against. And that's my goal, and that's what I push for, and the rest of the building committee is pushing for. Like I said, we have some seasoned, experienced professionals on our building committee that are very knowledgeable and catching and can follow along with a lot of detail. And we have a very, very supportive, again, Peregrine, I can't say enough. I mean, if I call Sam at 10:30 at night because something crosses my mind, he's picking up the phone. And, so it's key right now, because we are adjusting on the fly, just like everyone at home. This project continues to chug along. That being said, you'll see the health, the accommodations that are on the job site. There's a trailer in the student parking lot, so they're checking the health status of everyone that enters that job site every day. So it's being monitored. And DOH, and it's above and beyond. So we're definitely not slacking there. And but again, the work continues. And I raised a question today. I'll share this with you. In speaking with Bill Bryan of Gilbane, with regards to that process of employees showing up, because again, I am looking under every piece of paper, if you will, and have been assured that the process to check in those workers are told to show up before their shift so that they are cleared to enter the job site on their scheduled shift, because I don't want to see us losing labor hours. And I've been assured that that in fact is happening. So, just little extras that we've got to consider as we move every day. Any other questions on that?
Okay.
Joel, just a follow-up question. Especially it's going to be important going forward, but the list of the materials that we're going to be taking from the old building into the new building.
Yes. I still owe you that list. You're right, Tony. And I just want to, when you say materials, I would probably, we'll wait for the list, but just for public awareness, I think what we're going to see more of is when you look at CTC, some of the equipment was fairly new. Some of that type of stuff there'll be a transition where it just didn't make sense financially. But again, that list, I will actually send another note. I think with everything going on, I hope you'll allow some excuse on that. It's been a moving target with everything else.
Yeah, no, Joe. With all due respect, what we're dealing with is that. But what's important is going forwards that we're on budget with this, and I'm adamant that hopefully we won't go over the 189.5, which that's a whole nother issue for Craig and everybody else on the finance team. But going forward, that this list is not getting bigger as we're finding shortfalls in money, that we can easily fill a hole as long as as long as you got gravel to fill a hole, you really don't have a hole.
Yeah.
And so that's the only adamant thing that I look at, that, going forward, back over a year ago was a list of what we're going to be bringing over. And I've been around the block for many, many years. And when a hole gets bigger, it's cheaper to bring in a truckload of gravel, to fill the hole. And that's the only point that I hope is not taking place over there.
So valid question, Tony. And I can tell you that there has not been any adjustment to the FF&E package, which is, all of those fixtures and, items that would be purchased to go into the new school, as it measures against anything that was anticipated to come over, right? So since the last time that you've received a list of items, I would imagine that was probably at the 75% construction, that we approved, design documents or construction documents. We haven't touched any. There's been no discussion to make any kind of adjustments. Hasn't been a need to. There hasn't, to Charlie's question as far as delays or impacts. There hasn't been anything quantifiable to do any such process. So valid point, valid concern, and I think everybody, in the words that I had said in an earlier conversation, I think there's a clear recognition that everything that we can go into that school has a value, tenfold, 100-fold for years to come. So it is our intention to absolutely maximize what we put in that new building to be the best thing possible. And I'll repeat again, we have not made any changes to that to account for any anticipated financial challenges or anything else like that. We're really not making any assumptions. We don't have a reason to. And when we get the GMP and can look at what, if any, delay impacts were caused by the COVID piece, then we'll get to work and it'll be very transparent. And the school committee will be very much aware of any adjustments that are being done, if any.
Yeah, no, like I said, Joe, I appreciate that. Like, especially going forward, even and like I said, going forwards, like a monthly update where we're at, because Joel, I just tell you it the way it is. It's 6 months from now. They can throw so many things under a rug and blame it on the COVID thing that we'd have to hire somebody for $300,000 to unwind it. I've been around for 40 years, Joel. I'm big full of jobs, and like I said, it's a massive, massive building, and it's a massive amount of money. But at the end of the day, I would feel much more comfortable with like a monthly update, like which was great tonight, where you stated with the steel and stuff, rather than us getting hit with that, 3 months from now. That's what I really appreciate from you, Joel. Information like that there, which this way here, we all know where we're at. We 8 truckloads rather than 7, and back and forth. We all can understand that in the present. But to hit us with that 5 months down the road and say, we're 4 months behind because of this, that, at least the updates you're bringing to us are very, upfront. It's easy to track any delays coming up that way,
Yeah, no, and I appreciate that, Tony, and I appreciate the, the questions, and, in between meetings too, if something pops up, please don't, hesitate to call. But, I think monthly, that packet that I sent you, that Sam gives us, the last page, having the budget based on right now, based on the 75% estimates. But again, once we get that GMP, we'll have the final numbers. And again, right now, the task at hand for Gilbane and Peregrine is to begin to quantify, if any, impact that the steel delay, will have created. So that we can make adjustments. But I can tell you that there's some we have some very we're like siblings when we get in the room. I think we have some healthy discussions, and and everybody's doing their part, and I think you will be happy with the outcome, and we'll keep everybody very informed. And again, I definitely, on your point of what's transitioning from the old building into the new, nothing has changed from the original, the last report to the team, and it is my goal that does not change at all, because I don't think that, I think we kind of cut that exactly where we need to cut it. So. But yeah, I'll keep you posted on that, and I will send a note after this meeting to Sam for a list of that of those items again.
All right, Joe. Thank you.
Sure. Any other questions?
I have something that has really nothing. It has to do with buildings, so I'm going to throw it in there. But any way you can convince any of those companies to throw up a big sheet that says "Congratulations, Class of 2020" up there.
So Jessica, can I do you one better?
Yes, you can.
Okay. So we've
I
all
have
heard
all
about
faith in you.
So we've all heard about how the steel workers like to do their topping off ceremony with that main beam and everything. Well, COVID-19, we had originally wanted to do kind of like a community come down and sign, blah blah blah, do whatever. That is not going to be possible. However, we anticipate, because of small groups, some of those, the elected bodies will be listed and so forth, have an opportunity to come down independently in a short amount of time and put a signature on there. But what we are doing is we are going to create a label of some sort, a sheet, a banner that will be printed out having the graduated class of 2020, their names on that beam, and that will be highlighted it'll be raised. We'll record it. We'll do the beam raising ceremony, and on that, very much highlighted and prominent, will be the list of names of the graduating seniors, and that will be up with all of the other fanfare that the steel workers put to that beam, with the Christmas tree and the American flag and everything else. So for a good part, until that beam needs to be covered for construction purposes, that that list of names will be clear and obvious, and a hopefully seen as a symbol to the graduating seniors for our appreciation for for their efforts to get to where they are today.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Thank you. That's very good.
Anything else? Thank you very much. Next item, discussion issues. The transportation RFP. Craig Enos or Superintendent Crowley, do you want to say anything?
Craig, go ahead.
Sure. So as we've been discussing earlier, we have to go out to bid for our transportation services beginning July 1st. And so the packet that you have before you is the document that we will be using. There were some suggestions in executive session that I will certainly make and add to the document. I'll have legal counsel take a look at those changes before we send out the document to the public. But hopefully by 12 o'clock, by noon tomorrow, the document will be live and will be published. And then we'll be looking at making the award at the June school meeting.
But Craig, you want to vote on the RFP tonight?
Yes. Yes, please.
It's on there for vote.
Right. Okay, any questions for Craig? If there are no questions, we'll move on to the action items. First action is to consider and vote to approve the bill list. What is the committee's pleasure?
Motion to approve.
There's a motion to approve. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Motion made and seconded. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Next item, consider a vote to approve an RFP for the transportation.
I'll move to approve with the edits that we discussed in executive.
Yeah. Okay. Is there a second to that?
I'll second that.
Motion made and seconded. All in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion carries. Consider to vote to approve the city reimbursement to the East Providence School Department. What is the committee's pleasure?
Move to approve.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Motion made and seconded. All in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion carries.
And that was,
Next item.
just for clarification, right, Craig, that was on the project, something that we had, I think it was for,
it was for
ADA permit?
ADA permit fee for $48,000. Yep.
Okay, right.
It's just the city has to pay for it on our behalf, and it's just easier and quicker for us to do the check and then just get the reimbursement.
Right. Okay.
And the last action items 4 through 8, consider and vote to approve. All these bills are for the high school building. Shall we vote on these all together?
If the committee does not mind, and again, these were vetted last night by the building committee. So this is invoices for AI3, Peregrine, Gilbane, Stephen Turner, and Thelsh Engineering. If we need Craig to read the amounts out, I'm sure he can.
Joe, the only thing, I just have one question for Craig.
You're on mute, Craig.
Craig, the question I have.
Yep, sure.
The question I have, Craig, before we approve these bills for the construction of the high school, all the bills for the high school are paid up to date, the new high school?
Oh, yes. Yep. everything is current and paid up.
Okay, thank you.
So we'll move to approve.
Is there a second?
I'll second that.
Motion made and seconded. All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Under announcements, everyone is on board for a meeting 2 weeks from tonight, correct? Any
Yes.
problems? Okay,
Yes.
great.
I do
Any
have
other
an, yes,
announcement?
I have one. EPLAC is going to present a social emotional learning from a distance. Obviously, it's going to be virtual. It will be on, I think, the school's website. I'll share it. I'll have the school share, EPLAC will share it, but it's on May 20th, 2020 at 6 p.m. And it will be discussion, the implementation specialist, a multi-tiered system of support for Rhode Island. It's for parents, community members, and school staff on May 20th. That's my announcement.
Charlie, can I ask a question, Mr. Ferrera? Mr. Ferrera, do you want a virtual facilities meeting the last Friday of the month, or are you all set right now?
Oh, no, Kathy, we're all set for now. If we can just, Charlie, for the meeting in 2 weeks, is it going to be just from a special meeting?
Yes.
Kathy, just so we can get a couple updates on the White Neck vestibule we're doing and how we're doing down in Riverside with that project down there. I know the White Neck project's going along quite well. I just didn't hear anything about the one down in Riverside.
I'll have Tony send it out to you.
Okay, yeah, because the White Neck one, they actually poured all the sidewalks today and stuff. I believe all the soffits are all done already. So that one's moving along very well.
Good, good. So I'll have him do an update and send it all out to you, all right?
Okay, excellent.
And I won't ask for any input for the meeting 2 weeks from tonight, but primarily it's going to be our
Saturday. Yes,
Yeah.
yeah.
I'll be out of town.
Pardon
I'm
me?
sorry?
I'll be out of town. Does that work? No, do we have a
Well, Jess, I have a question.
Yeah.
Yeah, can't you just use your phone like I'm doing? Sure you can.
Tony,
what I'm saying is,
caught on. You're the only one
yeah,
that caught on.
what I'm saying, Jess, wherever you travel in the world, you could always be at the meeting. That's the great thing about what's happening.
Not to mention, I can't even leave the state, and you're the only one that caught that.
Yeah. Well, I'm the only one that can't use the computer. That's why I caught that right away.
Yeah, but I could be on the computer out of town too.
Okay.
Oh,
Yeah.
This is good. What time would the meeting be, Chairman?
Is 6 o'clock okay?
Yes.
6 o'clock works, good.
My medication should kick in by then.
And no matter where you are in the universe, Jess, okay?
Yeah.
I can't believe he said that. He threw me right under the bus, man. Oh, man.
And I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved. Oh, no,
Is there
I'll
a
let
second?
Karen take that one. And I'll
right.
take the second. Karen made the motion.
All in favor, signify by saying aye.
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 Everyone have
Meeting's
a good
adjourned.
night. Have a
Thank
good
you.
night.
Everyone, stay safe.
Thank you. Good night.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.